All right, now that we've had some time for everyone to get on, we are going to begin. So today our webinar is which hoist is best for your application? And our speaker is Aaron Guest. My name is Emily Rossborough. I'm part of the marketing team here at Ace Industries. I will be starting with a quick overview of who we are as a company before we get into Aaron's speaking. So, for an overview of us, Ace has been family owned and operated since 1932 when it began as a small electric motor shop in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm proud to say that that shop was started by my great grandfather. And over the past 9 decades, we've grown into one of the largest independent crane and hoist companies in the country. Today, we support customers through a combination of distribution, service, and manufacturing, which gives us a pretty unique perspective across the life cycle of lifting equipment. Along the way, there have been some meaningful milestones you'll see in our timeline. Most recently, both our CEO, Josh Arwood, and our senior engineer, Molly Wood, have been named the president of the Crane Manufacturers Association of America. Josh had the title in 2018, and Molly has had it through 2025 and now in 2026, which is something we're super proud of and speaks to the level of expertise within our team. For our distribution locations, we have a location in Norcross, which is our main headquarters, which we do a large portion of our operations there. And we also have a major distribution center in Houston, which we established around 15 years ago to better support our customers in the southern and western regions. These locations allow us to move quickly, support a wide range of equipment, and stay closely connected to how this equipment is usually actually used in the field. Now, with that, I will go ahead and introduce today's presenter. Oh, first, let me put it in our Q&A. So if you have a question at any time through our webinar, please don't hesitate to put it in the chat. Aaron will be answering all questions at the end of the webinar. There will be a time for a Q&A, but you can feel free to put them in the chat at any point, and he will be answering them specifically at the end. All right, so with that, I will go ahead and introduce our presenter, Aaron Guest. Aaron has been with ACE since 2013 and currently serves as our Director of Distribution, leading our Norcross Distribution Center, which is really the core of our operations. Over the past decade, he's developed a deep hands-on understanding of hoists, cranes, and the broader material handling industry. He works closely with customers to help determine the best solution for their specific application and has extensive experience in both equipment selection and troubleshooting. That combination of experience and real-world perspective makes him a great person to walk through this topic. So with that, I will turn it over to Aaron.
All right, thank you, Emily. And again, I'm Aaron Guest. I'm the Director of Distribution here out of our Norcross branch. And today, like Emily said, we're going to cover we'll go through an array of different hoist products and brands and types, and basically how our sales team here at ACE kind of goes through the process of figuring out your application and what hoist is going to best fit that application so that we get you the right product, obviously to avoid downtime and things like that, but just make sure we fit you with the best hoist that you need for your specific application. So with that, we will jump right in. This is kind of the agenda of what we're going to be going through, why hoist selection matters. Obviously, if you have a specific need for a hoist, it's going to matter very greatly what it is. And that begins with your application, what kind of facility you have, what kind of power you're running, all that good stuff. These are questions we're all going to ask, no matter who you talk to at ACE, to make sure we get you the correct product that's going to fit exactly what you need. We'll go through the different types of hoist, what we sell, what we can offer, what we stock, what we can get, and the decision moments, a couple real scenarios I'll throw out there, and the comprehensive comparison chart. That'll be at the end once we've gone through everything, where you can kind of see the pros and cons of each. And again, any questions you have or anything like that, please drop them in the Q&A spot, or we'll have contact information at the end of this. Please don't hesitate to reach out to us. So why does it matter? How does choosing the right hoist, why does that matter at all? I'm sure a lot of you know, it's basically all that matters when you're selecting hoist for your facility, especially in a specific environment that has a specific requirement. So choosing the wrong hoist can cost you reduced productivity if you have a hoist down or something like that, and you get the wrong hoist for what you're needing. You're going to be down even longer due to delayed shipping for the correct hoist, or it's just the wrong product not doing the job you need done. Safety risks go up again if you have the wrong product doing the wrong job. There's potentials for safety risk to rise. Increased maintenance again if you're using the wrong product. You're going to potentially damage that product or get someone hurt. So we want to make sure we're not doing that. Overspending on capacity, that again falls into our kind of the questions we go through with each customer. We don't want to charge you for the wrong product. We don't want you to buy something just because it's the most expensive. We want to get you the right product that you need. Premature wear or failure. Again, if you're using a machine incorrectly, it's going to wear it out and be harder on it than it needs to be, and that's going to be a problem that's going to cost you in the long run for sure. So we start with application. If you talk to anyone at ACE, or especially in the DST distribution team, this is probably our first question that we're going to ask you. What's your application? And this is just kind of runs through a brief summary of them. What capacity? How much are you lifting? What's your duty cycle? How many times a day is it lifting? Is it once an hour? Once a month? Once a day? Or is it 8 hours a day around the clock nonstop? That is going to play into which hoist is best for you. Again, how often will it be used? Is it indoor, outdoor environment? Any sort of headroom limitations that falls into your specific facility. And again, the hoist we're going to put in there. Power availability. Do you have power? Is it three-phase, single-phase? Are you running airlines, or do you have no power? Could be a construction site with nothing on it. Precision positioning required. That again will fall into specific hoist that we get you. Or how portable does it need to be? Is it going to move around on a crane, on a bridge, or is it literally going to be taken down and moved to a different area of the facility after the use is done? This is just kind of a run through of kind of what duty cycle is. Again, like I said, that's going to play into how often you're using the hoist. Is it once an hour? Is it once a day? Is it 8 hours a day? Obviously, the more you use it, the heavier duty cycle we're going to want to get you, so that you don't burn up your motor or destroy the hoist, within a few of the lifts that you're doing. And so that's kind of what it's breaking down here. Obviously, normal to moderate service, we have products that can handle that. The heavier service is going to fall into a heavier duty cycle on a chain hoist and a wire rope hoist as well. And severe service, that's when we're really going to get into the questions of what you're doing, where it's at, explosion proof, indoor, outdoor rated stuff, what sort of paint needs to be on it, all that kind of stuff, and make sure we get you a unit where the motor and the brake can take the load that you're lifting and moving around. So now we'll get into some of the types of hoist. Obviously, electric chain hoist. We have manual hoist, wire rope hoist, and those kind of vary with a battery hoist, and all the different types there. So we'll kind of go through these and explain a few of the pros and cons of each, and where they're suitable. So with our electric chain hoist, some of the common advantages are a smaller footprint as compared to a wire rope unit, which usually has a much larger footprint. Lower cost than wire rope initially, though you can get into a very expensive electric chain hoist as the capacity goes higher, but still they're typically much cheaper than a wire rope unit up front. Simple construction. Electric chain hoists are really motors and brakes and hooks that lift. That's what every hoist is, but those are again a smaller footprint and usually a little bit easier on maintenance. Excellent for shorter lifts. Most commonly, we sell hoists that are 10 to 30 foot of lift with chain hoist. If we get outside of that, we really need to make sure we're getting you the right hoist. But it is common for electric chain hoist to have upwards of 50 plus feet of chain. So that's not uncommon, but the most common of what we see is between 10 and 30 feet. If we get outside of that, again, we want to make sure we're getting you the right product. Good for frequent use. These have duty cycles that go as high as the industry allows, so you can use them all day, every day, depending on the brand and type of hoist you get. But they do offer moderate to high duty cycle capacity for certain capacities as well, where you can get a more affordable, if you will, hoist that is not quite rated to run all day, every day. And these are VFD multi-speed options available. Some of the limitations: limited capacity range. Once you get over that 10-ton range, it's really not, there's really not as many options for an electric chain hoist as compared to the wire rope hoist. Your wire rope units are going to get upwards into the 10, 20s and above tonnage capacities for hoist. They're less smooth on longer lifts. You're obviously pulling chain. There's a lot of sway, where wire rope units are set up more to have a long lift that runs a little bit smoother. And your chain obviously will wear out over time, especially if it's not maintained properly. Typical applications, again, what we see here in distribution the most is 8 to 5 ton units. That's definitely what we sell the most of, and where we have the most requests coming in for a chain hoist to be used. They're pretty good in tight headroom environments, not perfect. Again, if there's something that is outside of the normal range, we'll take that into consideration. Again, short to moderate lift heights, that 10 to 30 foot is kind of the bread and butter for an electric chain hoist. Manufacturing and fabrication shops, we see a lot of them in there. Repetitive lifting, obviously you're not going to have any problems as long as we get you the right unit. Workstations and general warehouse use, you're going to see a lot of these. So some of the most common brands, if you will, CM Lodestar, great industrial strength. It's a very common hoist. Everyone's probably seen it out there. It's almost as reliable as any of them out on the market. The CM Shopstar is also a reliable hoist. It's a smaller footprint. It's lighter than the Lodestar. The capacities don't go quite as high, but it still offers a good solid hoist with good speeds, with a good range of lift on it. The Harrington NER and SNER is a very reliable hoist. It's one of our top selling units. It's rated H4 duty cycle, and it can handle almost anything you're doing. The ER version of this comes with an additional load brake. And they have one of the NER and ER have one of the best brakes on the market. And so that's a very dependable hoist. The JLC, the Coffin JLC, is one of our top sellers as well. This is kind of what we like to describe as the Chevrolet of hoist. It's very dependable. It's cost effective. It's readily available. And it's one of our top selling units because it is a good hoist. There are hoists that are heavier duty than this, but it can handle most workloads that are out there. As far as wire rope units goes, the advantages: higher capacity range. Once you get above that 10-ton range, we really generally want to start talking about our wire rope unit. The better long lift heights, the smoother lifting motion, higher duty classifications available, faster lifting speeds in certain situations, ideal for heavy production environments. You're really going to see these in a lot of the larger manufacturing facilities out there. Limitations to them: they are more expensive up front. Even your 5-ton unit, which does fall below that 10-ton mark, compared to a 5-ton chain hoist, is usually a good bit more expensive, but you are getting more of a hoist. Most of them have trolleys already integrated with them, VFD options ready to go. So, but you do get that larger physical footprint. It's more complex installation, more components to maintain. Wire ropes can wear out. That can obviously, depending on how much you're using them, and they have a little bit more to maintain on them. They're not ideal for tight headroom situations in some cases due to the size of the actual hoist. Again, that's dependent upon, where you're at and what you're doing. And they can be overkill for light duty applications. We don't want to put you in a wire rope unit, that's too much capacity for what you're doing. If you don't need it. If you don't need a 10-ton unit, we're not going to sell you one. So we want to get you in the right hoist again with that. The typical applications we see is usually the 3 to, I guess, 100 ton. What I see most is really 5 to about 20 ton. I know there's more out there, and if you were to, get out in our outside branches and things like that, they definitely encounter all types of these. But from a distribution standpoint, our most common are that 5 to 20 ton range. They're great for long lift heights, heavy manufacturing environments. A lot of them have explosion proof options. Again, VFD is already incorporated in most of the hoists and the trolleys. High speed lifting, continuous duty cycles. These are made to run, most of them are made to run, all day, every day, and not fail, not burn up a motor. So they are great hoists when you need them. Some of the most common, the Yale YK. Everybody's probably heard of Yale and seen Yale, definitely everywhere. The Yale 3 and 5 ton YK is a very common hoist. It's readily available. It's dependable, and obviously you get the name brand with it too. The R&M Spacemaster balances cost, performance, and reliability. It's very comparable to the Yale, and it's a good hoist as well. The Detroit wire rope hoist is the domestic option. It's what ACE uses in most of our manufacturing jobs. We rely on it heavily. It's a very good unit, and like I said before, it's one that does incorporate the VFD within the hoist and trolley already, and it's balances cost, performance, and reliability even more so than the previous two. It's a great hoist, and as far as bang for your buck, you're getting a lot for it. So kind of a decision moment. If we were to, get a scenario in, this would be kind of a typical call or a customer calling in needing help. It's a fabrication shop hoist. Shop needs a new hoist. The application details after we've asked are it's 4-ton capacity. The lift height's 18 feet. Environment is an indoor manufacturing facility, so there's nothing in the sense of water, or there shouldn't be water or sunlight exposure to a long degree. With this, the use is frequent lifting throughout the day, so it's probably a good chance that it's going to be used 8 hours a day. The headroom is limited, but it's not so tight that we need to do any sort of special application with a low headroom hook or trolley or something like that. So which horse would we want to choose? Obviously, we'd want to go with the electric chain hoist. The capacity fits within the electric chain comfortable range, if you want to call it that. The compact design works better with the limited headroom. It's obviously a lower cost for the duty level as compared to a 5-ton wire rope or 10-ton if we got above that. It's excellent for repetitive lifting. You're going to get what you need out of this. You don't have to worry about jumping up to a wire rope unit with a heavier duty motor or anything like that. So the key insight here is wire rope hoists are great machines, but for this application, they often add cost and size without improving really the performance that you get out of this hoist within this scenario. So that's the battery powered hoist. The battery powered hoists are a relatively new product to the industry. The one we sell is the CM Battery Star. This came out last year, almost 2 years ago. And it does have good advantages, but definitely some limitations. It's cordless operation. You don't have to have a power cord. You don't have to plug it in. The rechargeable battery comes with it. Usually has an extra one. It's a fully remote pendant, so you don't have to stand next to the hoist. You can. I think the distance is about 30 feet away. You can still work it with your remote pendant. It's very portable. It's compact. I think the hoist chain and all, chain bucket, battery, and everything weighs about 60 pounds, which is pretty lightweight in the terms of a 1-ton unit, which can generally range from 90 to 130 pounds. It's ideal for field service teams. They can throw them in the back of the truck, take them to a site that may not have power yet, or somewhere where they need a portable hoist that can still lift a good amount. So they do have very good advantages for in the field work. Limitations, typically typically limited to lower capacities. The highest we offer right now is 1 ton. I haven't seen a battery powered hoist that's above that yet. So that's, if you have anything above 1 ton, you're kind of out of luck as far as the battery goes. Low to moderate duty cycle, the battery is going to wear out. If you run that thing 8 hours a day, it is definitely going to die. So like anything battery powered, get a power drill or a weed eater, you're going to want a backup battery with you. Battery management required, not ideal for continuous production lifting. If you're doing stuff that's real heavy duty, we would not sell you a battery star and tell you to use this thing like that. So, but it is a good hoist. It has a lot of advantages with portability and the no need for power. Typical applications, obviously, like I said, 1 ton, remote job sites, they're really good. If you don't have something where you can plug in, take it out there and it's good to go. Maintenance teams are going to love them. Service trucks are going to love them. Again, construction environments where you probably have a building or a job site that doesn't have power run to it yet, or it's inaccessible to the area you're in. So situations without electrical power, they are ideal unless you have to recharge the battery. So you may need power eventually, and or that extra battery to throw in there and get going. Again, cordless operation, rechargeable battery, portable, and ideal for field service teams. These are a good product, a good new product that's hit the market that we've seen a lot of success with. For air hoists, so air hoists are in common out there for sure. For distribution, these are probably our least common that we deal with, but we do still stock them. We sell a good bit of them. Some of the advantages of an air hoist, they're good for spark resistant or hazardous environments, or maybe an environment that you can't have power in or something like that where you are running an airline. Handles extremely high duty cycles. You usually get a pretty fast hoist with it as far as lifting speed. Cooler motor operation, smooth variable speed control, and very durable in harsh environments. That's where we see a lot of these air hoists going in. So they do require some of the limitations. They do require compressed air supply. So if you don't have an airline run, you're going to have to run one to get it going, and it's got to be that compressed air. Higher operating costs if the system's inefficient. If you get dirty air or wet air in your airline and it gets in that hoist, there's a good chance it's going to do some damage for sure, if not totally destroy the motor. They can be a little bit louder than electric hoists. They tend to have a whining noise compared to an electric hoist running. More complex facility infrastructure. Again, with the airline, you would need to run if not existing. And they're not ideal for facilities without airlines because that's how they're powered. That's how they go. Typical applications, again, quarter to 100. These we generally see very comparable to the electric chain hoist. That 1 to 5 ton range. You can obviously get higher with them, and certain places do, but that 1 to 5 ton is really kind of the most common that we see. Hazardous or explosive environments, higher duty cycle again, continuous lifting. You can use these, in the place of an electric chain hoist, in the sense of it can run for long periods of time, depending on how much lift you have and where it is and what it's doing and what it's lifting. But we see these in refineries and chemical plants a lot, or sometimes if you're in like a fertilizer plant or something like that where you really want to remain spark resistant as possible. These can be used and can be common there. Facilities with existing air systems. Obviously, again, it helps. We're not going to sell you an air hoist if you don't have airlines up and really don't know what it is. So it is specific in that sense, but also a very dependable piece of equipment. The most common, budget 2200. That's one of our most common that we actually stock in-house here. It's versatile and lightweight. It's ready to go. These are very dependable. I think probably total weight is maybe 45 pounds, so they can ship ground. You don't have to worry about shipping truck. The JD Newhouse is better for harsher environments. We tend to see these more in kind of refineries or settings. They do kind of stand up better to harsher environments and more of a workload. The best bang for your buck is the Harrington Mini Cat. It's extremely small, compact, can fit into tight spots, and it still give you a good capacity range. Uh, the last kind of category is manual hoist, which we divide into two: the hand chain hoist and the lever hoist. Hand chain is best for vertical lifting. You don't want to side pull with them, but ideal for overhead suspended loads, good for stationary lifting. These are comparable to an electric chain hoist in the sense of how they're lifting and what they're doing, except they are a manual process as opposed to a motor driven process. The lever hoist is best for pulling and positioning loads. These tend to be better for, I don't want to call it side pulling, but if you're tightening down, maybe on the back of a semi truck or the back of a truck or something like that, that's where you'll see these more commonly. They work at different angles as opposed to the hand chain hoist, which is more of a true vertical lift, and they're ideal for tensioning applications, tightening down. Manual hoist advantages: no power required whatsoever. Obviously, they're both manual processes. You can take them anywhere and do whatever you need. The cost is much lower than the wire rope or the electric or the air hoist units. They're highly portable, simple design, and very low maintenance, both for the hand chain and the lever hoist. Limitations: labor intensive. It is a manual process to lift whatever you're doing. If it's a hand chain hoist, you are literally pulling the chain until you get the load where you want it. If it's a lever hoist, you are cranking the lever until you get the load where you want it. So it tends to be a slower operation, especially when you get into the higher capacities, because when you get to a higher capacity hand chain hoist, there's gears and everything that make the load easier to lift for the operator. But there again, you do sacrifice speed in a big way. They're not ideal for repetitive lifting. If you were lifting something 8 hours a day, all day long, I would not want to be the guy that had to pull that hand chain or crank that lever hoist nonstop. So we again, that would be a question we would determine when the customer called in, and if that was the issue or what was going on, we wouldn't want to put you in a manual unit. But low duty cycle only, because it is dependent on the operator. So there is no motor. Typical applications are quarter to, I'd say 9 or to 10 ton. Infrequent lifting, again, because you're going to be doing the work. Maintenance environments, you can hang them up, do what you need to do, take them down, move them to a different area. So they're definitely ideal for that. Again, field work. Rigging to marine applications, we see a lot of these because they do kind of give you more of a precise lift, especially with the hand chain unit. Were you to be lifting a boat or whatever it may be, that doesn't need to have a super high lifting speed, and you really want to hit a mark when you're positioning the load. So, in tight budgets, if you're on a budget crunch, this is definitely the way to go as opposed to a motorized or a wire rope unit. Some of the different brands, the come along lever hoist, the CM640 series. This is a top of the line lever hoist. It's going to be as dependent as anything out there, and it comes in a range of capacities. The Harrington LB, this again is one of our top selling ones that we do stock in our facilities, and our service guys use from time to time. It's again very dependable. We have very little turnaround on these in the sense of them coming back for some sort of maintenance issue or something like that. The real thing we see is we just need to recertify them sometimes for certain companies. Lug-all is a domestic option. It's a good lightweight portable option that is obviously domestic made 100%. As far as the hand chains go, the Harrington CB is one of our most common. Again, this is one we have in our facility. It's high end. It's very dependable. It's got a range of capacities on it that do go up to a pretty high capacity that we stock, and I think that one goes up to 20 ton, I believe. So you can get up there with it. The Harrington CF chainfall, obviously, it's another good one. It's a little bit more cost effective than the CB, but it does still offer you a good product. And the CM Hurricane is best for the low headroom. A lot of y'all may be familiar with these with the Army type. where they have an integrated trolley on it that allows you to have a trolley and or hook, but have a trolley on there for tight headroom spaces. So another decision moment when we get a call in, a maintenance team needs lifting equipment for field work. What do they want? Do we want to get them in a battery powered unit or a manual unit? Battery powered versus manual. The application details for capacity is 1 ton, remote job sites, no electrical supply, occasional lifting, must fit in a service truck. So which hoist do we want to choose? Which hoist are we going to recommend? The answer is probably a manual unit, just for the portability aspect and most likely cost. It's kind of a trick question, though. Either one would work. This will be dependent on kind of what the customer does want and what we're recommending. You can't really go wrong either way, like it says. So the battery hoist is a little bit faster lifting and obviously automated with the push button operation and a motor actually driving it and pulling it, or lifting it, should I say. Best for frequent lifting. If you are going to be repetitively lifting, I would go with the battery hoist over the manual. But the manual hoist is lower cost, no batteries or power required, best for occasional lifting. And sometimes these things can kind of be throwaways when they go on a site. And so if you're looking for that, we don't want to call anything a throwaway, but a throwaway hoist, you would want to go with the lower cost manual unit just in case it grows legs on a job site and walks away. So the biggest deciding factor here is access to power and the frequency of lifting. Again, the battery hoist doesn't need immediate power, but if it was to stay in a spot for a long time, you are going to have to recharge the batteries eventually. So how to decide processes and qualifications? How do we decide what to go with? This is the spreadsheet, or the comparison sheet, should I say, that I was talking about. This just lays out kind of each brand, and this will be dropped, I believe, in the blog so that everybody can kind of reference back to it. So don't feel like you have to write it down or remember all this, but this just breaks down all the brands or different types we went through, their pros and cons, and what they're good for, and kind of the questions that my team here and that Ace Industries as a whole goes through whenever we're trying to get a customer in the correct hoist and what they need for what they're doing. And this is just the back end of that, as far as each hoist compared to each other. So a real life example of kind of the process we go through when someone calls into my team. We had a customer call in, and this was kind of using all of the types we just went through. The need was for a true vertical lift using 2 hoists on the same beam. And this is kind of a rough illustration. I'm sorry, yeah, here we'll go through this. So we needed to lift one load using 2 hoists on the same beam. They had to maintain true vertical lift with both hoists as they lifted. One of the hoists was a 10-ton wire rope unit. It was stationary on the beam and it did not move. It did the initial pick, so it would grab. I'll show you this. This is kind of a rough illustration. The wire rope unit would grab one end of the load. It would pull it up vertically, and then we would need a second hoist to come in and grab the load on the other end and pull it up to this horizontal level. But as we did that, this hoist would stay the same. And this unit would, obviously, if you're pulling up vertically, this unit's going to move out on the beam as that lift of the secondary hoist is going on. And so the customer was wanting a manual unit to kind of save on cost, but the manual unit in a 10-ton capacity wouldn't allow for really efficient continuous use, and it wouldn't give them the lifting speed that they needed. However, an electric unit with a motorized trolley was going to be cumbersome in the sense of keeping as this hoist lift, keeping that hoist moving out as the load pulls that chain that way, to maintain that true vertical lift on each hoist. So we don't want any side pulling. So this person called in. We steered them away from the manual unit and got them into a 10-ton electric unit with a manual trolley on top. Because with that manual trolley on top, you're not having to worry about driving it. or keeping it in line to keep these, truly vertical and not side pulling. As this second hoist lifted up, and that load wanted to pull this hoist out, that manual trolley is going to allow that hoist to move with the load automatically. No user, uh, uh, no one driving it. And so that manual hoist, that's what we had a wire rope unit. We went through obviously our questions and everything we needed to determine, with it being on the same beam, the distance that it was going to need to travel, and the need to obviously maintain that true vertical lift on each hoist. And so the solution was an electric chain hoist paired with a manual trolley. Again, that manual trolley allowing the hoist to move with the load as it was raised, and maintaining that true vertical lift on each. And so that's uh, a brief glimpse at the process we go through here at ACE to figure out your application, figure out what you're doing, the capacities needed, the speeds needed, and really the technical aspect of what's going on, to make sure we get you a product that's going to work and be what you want and what you need, and get the job done for you. So some key takeaways: always start with application. That's, again, when you call in to ACE, that's going to be one of the first questions. Where's the hoist going? What is it doing? What is it lifting? We want to make sure we ask the right questions to get you the right product. And that's the duty cycle, electric versus wire rope. What kind of power do you have? Single phase, three phase, no power, harsh conditions, clean room, anything like that. We want to make sure we figure out where you're going. Manual versus air versus battery powered. If the wire rope or the electric chain hoist is not what we need to do, there are other options. The goal is long-term performance. We're here to sell you product, but we want to make sure it's the right product that gets your job done at a cost-effective point, and that doesn't wear out on you. We want you to have good product for a long time. So again, if you have any questions, drop them in the chat, and we'll take a look at them and see what we got. But if you don't have any immediate questions, I definitely want to encourage everybody to reach out to ACE at all times, anytime. If you have application, if you need help figuring out what you're needing to get in your facility, or if you know exactly what you want, please shoot us an email at sales@aceindustries.com. If you have any questions, the 800 number right there goes directly to my customer service team. And please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We're here to help, and we want to make sure we get you the right product for what you're needing. So with that, that's all I have for this. I thank you, everybody, for joining, and thank you for watching.
Thank you, everyone. We will be sending the recording very soon, so definitely look for that. And thank you again for supporting us and showing up, and we will see you soon in the next one.